Hello, everybody. Stray from Mediapire again. And today we're gonna kind of move away from UV editing and coloring, and we're gonna quickly cover snapping. Um, so what we're gonna do is let's go ahead and hide our monkey head, and let's. What did I just do? Um, let's go ahead and just collapse these all real quick. Sorry about that. All right, so what I want to do is create a new collection, and we're going to call it snapping. All right. So this is going to seem a little weird, but just trust me on this, okay? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a grid. All right. So just so you can kind of see what a grid is, let's go to edit mode, and you can see that it's got all these vertices on there already, right? This will be kind of cool, kind of important, right? So we'll go back to object mode, and what we're going to do is we're going to turn snapping off, and we're going to bring in a cube. And you've probably seen me do this already, but we'll hit G and Z, and there's no snapping because it's not on, right? Okay, so what I'm going to do next is I'm going to enable snapping. Now let's look at this. Increment, right? So this snaps to the increments of the grid, okay? And you can actually choose absolute to make extra sure that you are following what the grid is. So that means each of these little squares here that form a grid, those are all the points, okay? So now if I hit G, immediately it snaps to the base there, right? If I push G and Z, I am exactly one grid point, just like this, right here. All right. So that's how increment works. Okay. Now we're going to cover vertex. Okay. I'm saying okay a lot. I apologize. All right. So with vertex, you will find that it will line up on these vertices. So because it is a grid, uh, and by grid, here, I'm going to move this out of the way real quick, just to show you again. I'm talking about the vertices on this plane that has been subdivided a bunch of times. That's essentially what that is. Each of those points is where it's being dragged to. So as I go back to my object and I bring it down, it's a nice little hack if you're working on like grid maps for games and stuff like this to match things up by using this vertex snapping. Now, a cool little trick, and this might be all we cover in this video, is if we move this farther out than where we want to reach, it's going to behave a little bit differently. So now if I move to that vertex, it's going to line up perfectly. Now, I'm not sure if it's ideal behavior or not, but say I put this in the middle, right? And then I go to do this again. Uh-oh. It doesn't behave the same, right? So think of it as relative snapping. Wherever your object is in relation to when you grab it, if, God, how to explain this? Okay, so since I can't use words, I'll just show you, right? So if I'm on this side, I've already shown you this one. It's going to snap along these edges. And of course, at a certain point, it's going to break, right? And as I move along, it follows those edges, right? However, if I come back and I try and do it on this side, it's not going to work. To replicate what I did before, let's move that back. I'm going to move it all the way out, and then I'm going to work on my snapping. So where your block is, or your object, or your mesh is relative to where you're snapping matters. Same thing with below, above and below, right? So we've done a lot of above. Let's do a little bit of below, right? So now I'm below it. Now, because I start below it and I grab it and I move it along, here, let's change our view so we can actually see this. All right. So because I am below it and we're going to move out in the X direction a little bit, the same thing will happen here. And because you understand how it works, oh, and that's the other cool thing is that if you move it and you choose a specific axis by hitting G and X, you can keep it there and line it up on the vertex you want without it breaking that axis that you're working on. If I just have grab on, I can replicate what I did before, although it's under, right? Same thing if I'm over here and I grab it. The block is relative to where you left it. And this will allow you to actually have it line up where it needs to line up. I think that's all I kind of want to cover in this video, and I'll catch you in the next one. I hope this was useful.